What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Best Buds Podcast, Season 2, Episode 16 with the fellas. How we feeling, boys?
Feeling.
Better than me?
Yeah, I'm feeling okay. Physically, I feel pretty great, actually. Mentally.
Same.
Just one of them days.
One of them days. You was all over the place today, too. I know that'll make it one of those days, huh?
Yeah. But had a good workout with my team, so.
It was, actually, it was a pretty terrible weekend.
Today, so.
It was a pretty terrible weekend, if we're being honest. Yesterday might have been one of the saddest sports days of all time. Not only did my beloved Commanders finally meet their end, and it was expected. Honestly, at this point, we had been kind of riding on House's money and turned the ball over 3 times without letting Jaden Daniels even affect the game. We're not going to have a chance to begin with, and Saquon Barkley is that dude. Unfortunately, that man is crazy. John, first play is crazy. I knew we were cooked then. I just want to say something, John Cox. I know you're listening. GG's. I will graciously admit defeat, but you Eagles fans are the worst in the world. Okay, there's not a breed worse than an Eagles fan. And that's how it will always be. And so leading on to that, what compounded the Commanders' loss was the then Buffalo Bills loss, which America really did not take well. And I don't blame them. It looks like the Chiefs have been cheating for the past 6-7 years or whatever. However, I don't think they are. I think they're just really good and really well coached, and well coached teams usually find a way to make it happen in tight games.
I saw a crazy stat about Patrick Mahomes. It was like drives where the game is on the line in the playoffs in the fourth quarter to either tie it or to win. Brady is like 47% on drives. Drew Brees is like 50%. Patrick Mahomes is 100% on those drives.
Yeah, that's not
He's like 7 for 7.
That's not normal.
He's locked. He's the definition of locked.
So yeah, ideally not the 2 results that the majority of people wanted yesterday. But to finish my spiel to John and the Eagles fans, I will 100% be rooting for the Chiefs against the Eagles. I don't care what America says. I don't care what America wants. I'm Team Taylor Swift all the way for the next 2 weeks. I don't care. Never in my life will I ever root for the Eagles. So just need to put that out there. But I'm not salty at all. If you can't tell, I'm not. I'm really not. Oh man, it's gonna be okay. You're right. I was blessed to see this run, and we'll be back. So it's all good. But wrapping up that, it was a good weekend. Besides that, I was just messing. But let's get into the songs of the week, and then we'll carry in kind of what we've been doing into the conversation today. One of y'all get going real quick while I pull up the playlist.
I'll kick it off.
Yep.
So my song of the week, it's not really reggae, but it's got a reggae vibe to it. I think I'm not sure, honestly. I probably should look it up. It might be reggae, but it's a song called "Walk Away from Love" by Biddy McLean.
Biddy,
what Biddy a name! McLean, yes.
What a name!
It's the first song on his album, called "On Bond Street." It's a great song. My boy, shout out to Patrick.
Patty boy.
Send me that song. I have been listening to that song a lot. Also, Patty, if you're listening,
here's a good test. This is a good test.
I listened to the rest of the album, and he did not stand on business like he did in the first song. He basically falls in love with the shorty immediately in the second song and the whole rest of the album. So it doesn't hit quite like the first song, but it's still a good album.
Oh man. Hey, that's natural human instinct.
The second song comes on. The first song is titled "Walk Away from Love." The second song comes on, and he's immediately already folding for the shorty. And the whole rest of the album.
I was gonna say that's human instinct nowadays, boys. We see it all the time. Oh man,
dude, there's no better feeling when you put somebody on a song and they like rep it.
Oh
and
my
actually
gosh.
listen to it.
Yeah, I didn't listen to. I had to listen to the whole album. I thought he was gonna be on that timing, but he wasn't. First
All
song
right,
is
I'll go
really good
ahead.
though.
I'll go ahead with mine. Uh, I'll say 2009 by Mac Miller. That song is just good. It's got
Heater.
a nice like piano intro, and it kind of like really sets the tone. And I was listening to the song with these headphones that I just got, and like the production was just so clean. I was like, wow, this is definitely my song of the week. And then it's also like just a like introspective look on like how fast time moves, and just felt very relatable. That album overall is good.
It's
It's called Swimming.
crazy.
Swimming. It's
That
probably his
song, that song
most
by
mainstream
itself,
album.
dude, is different gravy. Different gravy. I'll wrap it up here with. Did y'all ever watch the movie Let It Shine, Disney movie growing up? Tyler
I think
James
so.
Williams. It's like that light skin who raps and then his friend takes credit for the song. Kiki Palmer's
Yeah,
in it.
yeah. And his friend was pulling the shorty, even though he was writing the lyrics for the shorty.
Exactly. I'm be
That's that
honest.
dude from Everybody Hates Chris. Right?
Yes. And he was also on like Lab Rats and some other OG Disney shows.
That was a good movie.
That was a good movie. I love that movie growing up, and I feel like once every couple years I've found a couple songs on the soundtrack again. But Don't Run Away, which is the song, slaps. It's definitely Disney-esque, you know, but it's
That's funny.
bro, I'm telling you, go listen to it. Go listen to it. Go listen to it.
Put it in the album,
It's
gang.
it's gonna be on there now, so
Make sure you put this Biddy McLean song. That's the album.
oh yeah. I'm already added all three of these. All three of these added now. And that's it. Let it shine, baby. Let it shine.
Hey man, he was snapping in the movie. I'm not gonna lie.
He was, and Kiki,
He's actually talented too. I don't know his name, but he's actually talented.
Tyler James Williams, I think,
Everybody loves
or something
Chris
like that. Oh god. All right, there we go. Three good songs. We'll keep it moving along here. Zion, you have been kickboxing, obviously, yourself, and you've gotten into some personal training over the last 6 months, you'd say? You kind of started up in the last 6 months-ish?
Yeah, I started training with the new team here, or the new team at Apex 6 months ago. Yeah, it's been fun. I've kind of transitioned into well, quickly, honestly. Like I'm not trying to boast myself, but I feel like I became one of the leaders, I guess you could say, in the gym. I teach a lot of my teammates and people because I have a boxing background, so I can specifically go into that. But also, I just have a pretty well understanding of it.
I was going to say, I think you're also just naturally a leader. And, you know, when you step into a place, if you're naturally a leader, at some point it'll kind of shine through, I feel like. And you've definitely taken advantage of a place that accepts your leadership and, you know.
Yeah, honestly, that is a really big thing. It's nice that you said that because they all were definitely very accepting of not only of just me, but they would come to me and ask me questions. You know what I'm saying? And if someone asks me questions, I'm 100% like gonna help you out. If you're willing to learn, that's like, yes, here, take this seed. You know what I'm saying? Because I know you'll take care of it. And they definitely accepted me as a leader there, and I like the role, honestly. But yeah, I've been doing since then. I've been a personal trainer for a 14-year-old. We do one-on-one training, kickboxing. I just started doing personal training for two 6-year-old boys. That's also personal training. I've done group training for beginner level classes, intermediate level classes, and group training for the fighter level classes, which the other day I did group training for the fighter level class, which would be my level class because my coach couldn't make it. And there was a professional level or an old professional. He used to be a professional Muay Thai fighter American military guy, but he fought Muay Thai professionally. And then there was also a professional Japanese kickboxer there, and I trained them. I led that whole class, and they both told me they liked it. So, and that's always really, really nice to hear coming from like professionals. So that was very nice. But I've been learning a lot.
I feel like any feedback at all, even if it was like bad, like, or constructive criticism there and like delivered in the right way, you're like, I'll take that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and obviously you guys know, like, with me, any constructive criticism doesn't matter how you deliver it to me. I'm gonna take it in either way and do what I will with it. But it's been really nice because I've been switching from like some days I'll train and most days I'm training. I'm being trained, and it's nice to jump on both sides. You know what I'm saying? I think it accelerates my learning for sure.
Can definitely learn like how how you like to be trained and how you can apply it to like how you train other people. Things you like about certain training sessions and how you can like carry that over into yours.
Yeah. I would say the biggest thing for me that I've learned is just engagement in training, like how to keep someone like you. The most important thing with training really is, when it comes to technique, is reps and repetition. I always say that, 2 R's, reps and repetition. Like if you just do that, you're going to get better at something. But if you really want to accelerate that, if you can do reps and repetition while also just having an engaging class the whole time they're engaged, like that helps so much.
Yeah, that's spot. If you want to train skills, the best way to do it is practice.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, repeat that one time.
If you want to, train motor skills, get better at a certain task, practice is the best way to do it. Like, straight up. And kind of like you said, reps on reps on reps on reps. Even having like, some people make the argument that like, for certain things you want to only be doing quality reps.
Oh, I think I said reps and repetition. I meant to say replication. Did I say replication?
I don't know.
No.
You might have said repetition.
Yeah, I meant to say replication and repetition. Like when you find, and what I mean by that is like when you're throwing the punch and you finally find that feeling that you were searching for, that good technique that you can work on later after you get it down. Replicate that. Like don't just throw punches because you're just repping it out. You want to replicate the perfect punch. And like Bruce Lee says, fear not the person that trains 1,000 kicks or 1,000 punches, but fear the person that trains one punch 1,000 times. So replication and repetition. Mm-hmm. When it comes to technique, that's how I am.
I think it's good to pick up on the things that like your focus is, because I feel like everybody has a different focus or can have a different focus. Real quick before we keep going on, so Zion's experiences with kickboxing. I've done a little bit of basketball personal training back in the day, not so much any other kind. I will be getting a personal training certification to like work people out and do stuff like that later on this year. So it's good for me to always be constantly training myself and taking in training from others. I think, like Zion said, learning what works best for you and what you like is great. And then Jasper, just touch on real quick kind of your background with personal training and how it's been a part of your life.
I also feel like we've all coached small, like little kids.
Exactly. Teams. And personal training is such a broad term nowadays. Coaching is a good overarching term, I feel like.
I've coached a couple of kids soccer teams. Like I had a U12 team one year. I've had a U10 team back in the day. I've done personal training for soccer, like through having those teams. I found a couple of clients like when I was living in the Pines over the summers, and then also like, I mean, I'm a physical therapy student, so a lot of physical therapy kind of ties in with personal training, like so. It essentially is personal training.
Yeah.
But a very medical.
It's a specialized personal training, super specialized.
Like you said, personal training is a very broad term.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm actually
could be a lot of
gonna
things.
work on getting my personal training license at some point before I graduate
Yeah.
because it helps. But
I feel like if you're also
Yeah.
like you're learning that like the PT stuff, like you said, it kind of correlates. So like it'd probably be a pretty easy study
oh
for you.
yeah, bro. I'm in a class right now that's like just called motor learning and motor skills. And like what Zion just said, we literally learned that like last week about how like that's why I said the motor skills thing. Because like if you want to, I mean, it's a very like if you break it down to its bones, training motor skills is a very simple thing. It's replicating, practicing, doing the right practice, and then also like staying consistent and then changing your environment, changing different variables. Like there's so many things you can talk about it. Honestly, it's kind of annoying to talk about school when I'm not in school.
Yeah, okay, let's specify.
Making my
then.
brain hurt a little bit.
Zion, what's been the biggest difference for you in training a kid that's you said you've done 5-6 years old, right? And then somebody that's a teenager.
I was just thinking about that actually, and I'm gonna answer your question first. Actually, I'm gonna circle back to the question
Yeah.
just because I don't want to forget what I wanted to say. The workout that I had this 6-year-old doing, one of them I want to start doing for the 14-year-old because of how engaging it was, how simple it was, but it was also really a really good tool to gauge how coordinated someone is. And I'll go over the workout just real quick. It was a warm up. We were just warming up before our actual little kickboxing workout. 2 kids had them stand, like 7 feet away from me, and I would just throw them a tennis ball, catch it, throw it back to me. They're little kids, so one of them was catching it really like almost every time. The other one kind of struggled with it. And it kind of relates to boxing because the kid that was struggling with it was trying to anticipate where the ball was going to be rather than just catching where the ball is. Like letting the ball, because I'm throwing it right to their hand. So he would try to come out, catch it, instead of letting it land in his hand and just grabbing it when it's there. And in boxing, it's very similar to that in the sense of like when you're slipping, when you're throwing punches, some people really force the punch and they're trying to. A better example would be defense, I guess. When you're dodging punches, people try to anticipate it, and that's when you're being controlled at that point. You need to dodge punches. You need to see the punches coming, not anticipate them. So same thing with the tennis ball.
That made me think of soccer too, like training someone's touch. Like you want them to see the ball and like take it in as it's coming rather than like trying to go meet it and like.
Yeah. And so the tennis ball helped me gauge each one of them being like, okay, so he's this, he's that. So I threw it to him, and then I had him throw it one hand, catch it with your right hand, throw it with your right hand, catch it with your left hand, throw it with your left hand, back up, do the same thing. And then I did the same thing again, but this time they were jumping on one leg while throwing it. And we just did the same workout.
You said 6 years old?
Yeah, just jumping on one leg. Obviously,
I think
they were kind of goofy with it, but it was fun for them. It was really engaging for them because we're just playing catch. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I thought it was fire because they liked it. They were laughing, but it was also working so many skills, like the balance of hopping on one leg, but also the coordination and the timing of catching the ball, throwing it back, and using your offhand. Stuff like that.
I think that answer and that example kind of goes perfectly into the difference between training a little kid and a teenager or somebody that's like the way I differentiate it is like if I'm able to come up to you and be like, do you really love this sport? Like this is what you want to do or this is what, and you're like, yes, and you're able to understand, then it's a whole different type of training in my mind.
Exactly. And that's what I asked my teenager. I said, what do you want to do with this? And he still said, I'm not really sure. I'm just doing it. And so I don't go, I'm not super, super strict with him. It's more important for me to make sure that he's engaged and having fun rather than
that's the biggest
and
part.
Even still, if someone is taking it seriously, I would still want them to have fun, but there would have to be times where you have to push them mentally as well because you're taking it seriously. So you have to be pushed mentally as well.
Exactly.
And whenever that teenager's ready for that, then I'll let him know, hey, you're starting to take it seriously. We got to start pushing you mentally.
But
it's gonna be frustrating. But
usually with little kids, like your 6-year-olds, it's just you're just trying to make sure they have fun. You don't want a kid to stop for a second and be like, oh, I don't like this, or I can't catch it, or whatever. This is too hard, and then they get because kids, it's switches. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm having fun. I'm not having fun.
The worst thing too with kids is like when they go to practice and they come home and they're upset, or they don't look forward to going to practice.
Yep.
Like a coach can ruin a sport for a kid by being that coach on little kids. With kids, it's purely fun. Like a kid's not gonna know he wants to be a professional soccer player as whenever he's kicking soccer ball. He's just having fun. You know what I'm saying? And like maybe he could want to be but he wants to have fun. He just wants to fall in love with the game. You know what I'm saying?
Because in reality, they're doing like 4 other sports too.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what I was going to say. I think I said I wanted to be a professional football player, professional basketball player, professional baseball player, all those when I was a kid. And I was just saying it because I was having fun doing.
Because you loved it.
Exactly.
Because you loved it.
Exactly.
So it's more important for them to love it. And another thing, one difference, I know I'm kind of talking a lot, but another difference is I do make my teenager do bear crawls and even my adults do bear crawls because it's a really good warm up for your shoulders and just the mobility. But one difference I noticed is the motor functions with the 6-year-olds. Doing bear crawls forward, they did it fine, but backwards, it was funny to see that they couldn't get their arms and their legs to coordinate. They were just kind of like, it was funny to see. So I made them do that more to work on their coordination. That would be one of their punishments, and they wasn't even a punishment for them because they liked it.
Because they probably laughed
like, the loser
or whatever.
has to do bear crawls. You know what I'm saying? And the other kid would be like, "Wait, I want to do bear crawls too." Like, great.
That's kind of my next point with the comparison was, to a degree, training younger kids or even anybody of all age, but more so younger kids. You're taking something that is super complicated and you're trying to break it down to the most simple form of it. I mean, like, that's what we did that in basketball at practice, like in high school. Like, that's how you become great at something, is you master the little intricate parts of it and then you put it together. So for kids, I feel like that's a great example of, like you said, motor skills, and training their motor skills is through goofy little exercises that push their comfort level that still allow them to have fun, I think is.
Yeah. And both their dads were watching me and they really liked it. Like they were laughing too.
Oh, yeah.
Kids, and they were, from what it seemed like, they seemed very pleased with the class. That's a lot different though, training, just 2 kids personally and training a group of kids, which I'm going to start doing for my gym. I'm going to start training a group of a whole bunch of little kids and a group of teenagers up to like 13 years old, I think. 2 different groups.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you just got to be loud and commanding,
energetic, yeah.
Because you like you said, like the attention and buy-in is like so important for kids. But I think also realizing, like, I did that for soccer, obviously, like coaching a little bit, and then I did like some personal training for like a couple teams. Like, you're not going to reach every kid every session.
Yeah.
I think that was a hard thing for me to, like, I'd be like, dang, that kid's over there, he hasn't like really been bought in this whole time. But then you got to like take a step back and be like, oh, okay, these other kids they're locked in, they're doing their thing, so at least I have that. But yeah. And
sometimes that kid that might not be locked in or ready at the moment will see the other kids running around laughing, having fun, and then it makes them. I mean, there's FOMO at all ages. It starts young, these kids see other kids. I was doing, for my job, a soccer skills class or whatever the other day, and this kid, like, his mom just left him, and he's young. He's probably 4 or 5 years old. He's like, oh, I want my mom, this, that. I was like, hey, buddy, like, she'll be back in an hour. Like, if you want to come kick the ball with us for a little bit, you can. If not, like, just sit here, stay away from the road, blah, blah, blah. Like, not trying to force him into anything, because I feel like that's a way to force him out, actually. And then 30 minutes in, he's sitting over there. He's like, Coach Noah, can I join? I'm like, yeah, come on. So, like, there's ways to work around it. But definitely, like you said, Jap, like, don't get caught up on if one kid is not having the best day or, in a bit of a funk.
Another thing I really like to do, though, while I'm training, and to keep the person thinking about training as well, I do this with my personal training classes. Even the 6-year-olds, I ask them, but I ask my 14-year-old every time. I'm like, sometimes with training, I'll have options. I won't just have one plan. I'll have options with what we're gonna do, and I'll ask him. First of all, when he gets there, I always ask him how he's feeling today, like, just so I can know, like, if what kind of mood he's in. And then I'll let him, with the younger people that don't take it super seriously, I kind of let them get out their little, like, just got their jitters or like energy, or sometimes they want to do something playful or something, you know what I'm saying? Or chat. 14-year-old always wants to chat me up about anything. So I'll chat with him just for a little bit. But I always ask him how he's doing, and then I'll have options for him and the 6-year-olds. I have options for them, different things for them to do. I'm like, do you want to do this today or do you want to do this? Like, do you want to work on just kicks today or do you want to work pad work today? Just to make sure, just so they're engaged in their own training plan as well. And then some days I'll be like, well, if we do this today, though, we have to do this next time. And then at the end of class, I'm always like, what about training today frustrated you? That's what I'll ask my teenager. Like, was there anything that frustrated you today? Or is there anything that you liked that you really liked today? I'll ask them that. And then with the 6-year-old kids, I'll just be like, I think I said, I just like, did you guys like the class today? Was there anything that you liked or didn't like? And they'll just be like, yeah, fun or something. But the 14-year-old, he always gives me good feedback.
I think keeping that open line of communication with your client or whoever you're training is like the most important thing. But if you like the way you just described how you're doing your training is like, that's how I would do it too. Like building the rapport, you know, even sitting there having a conversation with the 14-year-old is going to make him like you more and then be more willing to listen to what you're saying and try and give effort, right? And then also like establishing the goals too, which I think you talked about earlier, like, you know, what do you want to do today? What do you want to get out of this? What type of fighter do you want to be? That's so important because then that gives you a good framework for how to proceed, how to like handle conversations, how to, you know, basically build the whole training. And then you're also speaking on like being adaptable to that day and how that person's feeling that day, which is also so important because even like you could have something set in stone, like, okay, this is what we're doing today, this. And they get to the one drill and they're like, you know, coach, I'm cooked. I can't do this today. Like, I just don't feel good, blah, blah, blah. To be a good, like, coach or a good trainer, you got to be able to think of something, like, that you can do with the rest of that time that's still going to be productive.
On the spot.
So.
Real quick before anybody carries on with that, that's kind of goes into our maybe closing topic, maybe not, but, like, the whole mental aspect for a trainer and, like you guys touched on, like how to deal with those complications or mistakes when they happen, and we can go a little further in on that. And then also staying creative with the motivation that you're given, and, you know, maybe toning somebody back if they have unrealistic goals or boosting somebody up if you think that they can do more. You know, I mean, I think that's also a big thing, is helping kids realize their potential and show them all the things that they can achieve if they put in hard work and time and effort, because we've seen it. And I think that's the cool part for us, is we have all put in that work at some point in our lives, and we've all witnessed other people, each other, put in that work, and we've succeeded things that nobody thought we would ever do, win games, whether it is in life and in the sports, whatever. We've all done that. So yeah, just kind of continuing the conversation with just the mental aspect, and you know, dealing with the complications and then the other side of it.
Well, that makes me think of like kind of relating it to physical therapy. When we were learning about like patients with spinal cord injuries and like when you're establishing their goals for rehab, like oftentimes the main goal for people with like, you know, legs paralyzed or whatever, they're like, oh yeah, I want to walk again, or I want to run again. And it didn't really give us a way to like deal with that, because obviously that's not like a realistic goal. Like people with full spinal cord injuries, like most likely they're not going to be able to fully walk again. You always hear like the success stories, but a lot of times you don't hear the stories, and that's the people that are in a wheelchair, you know? So kind of being able to hear an unrealistic goal and be like, well, look, let's, you know, focus back in on what's important right now. You know, what's going to be the small steps that we can take to get you on track to that. That's what we need to focus on right now. And I think redirecting focus can be important, but then also like establishing the type of relationship where like you hear and understand their goals, without like confirming that that's gonna. You don't want to sit there and be like, oh, you're gonna walk again, or you're gonna gain 50 pounds of muscle in the next month, because like that's not true, right? But you want to be able to hear their goals and like kind of validate them in a way, but then like redirect it to what's important, like right now. How are you going to get on that track?
Exactly. Creating that vision to maybe get to that final goal. I feel like it's okay to keep that final goal kind of as the like light at the end of the tunnel or whatever, but helping them see like you take this step right here now, we're going to take this step next week, and then we'll get you here and here, and that's, to me,
Yeah.
that's part of the beauty of coaching, leading, personal training, whatever, is seeing the growth that you can help somebody else achieve.
Yeah, I have one kid who I don't personally train, but I train with him. He's in like he's not in the beginner or intermediate class, but he's not in the fighting class. But he's pretty good. He's got hands, and he wants to be he tells me he wants to be a professional boxer. And the thing with fighting is you can't let someone figure it out by playing the sport, because it's gonna get them hurt. You know what I'm saying? With other sports, if they don't have it and they're not seeing it, you can let them play and they'll take the L and take the L and take the L, and either they get up and they learn or they do something. But in fighting, you kind of have a responsibility to be brutally honest with people, because if you're not, then you're letting them step into an illusion that's not real, and they're gonna get hurt for it. But he tells me he wants to be a professional boxer, and he's good, he's talented. And the other day he came up to me and he was like, "What do you think I need to do? Like, is there something that I can work on?" I was coaching actually. I was actually coaching this day. I was the coach for the group class, and he asked me, "What do I need to work on to get better? Like, what do I need to work on to get closer to my goal?" And I said, "The first thing, the most important thing for you to work on right now is your mental attitude when it comes to this, because you come in here early, which is great. You're 20 minutes early. But when we actually start working out, when we start doing the warm up as a group, you're still wrapping your hands. Like you're finding little ways to hide from the workout. You're not you need to mentally push yourself here, because you're going to be mentally pushed before you even step into the ring. Stepping towards the ring, you're mentally pushed more than even being in the ring. So if you're not pushing yourself here, you can go ahead and that you can forget about that drink. Like, just be real with you.
Well, I'm mentally pushed just walking down behind you as a cornerman. Boy, yeah, so imagine, I mean, fighting is one of those sports that is completely different from almost every other sport in the world in terms with how it works and the makeup of it and the process that you have to go through. So yeah, I think you can keep it a little more realistic probably, and the other option is they just find out, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, I say that to him only whenever he asks. All other times, I am encouraging him, or I just, I'm not on his case all the time. You know what I'm saying? But when he asks me a question like that, like, what do I need to do to step up? Like, man, look, you're good. You got great hands and everything, but you're literally hiding. Like, if you want to, you cannot wait to become what you want to be. You have to go ahead and be what you want to be. Start acting like you are already the champion. What does the champion do?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Repetition and replication, like you said, it's applied to every facet of it.
Yeah, you need to go ahead and be that.
Yeah.
You can't just wait for it to happen. Like, you need to be that today.
That kid's
that makes me think of
Go ahead.
The Damian Lillard quote at the end of that J. Cole
Yes.
song, where he's like, everything you do in the dark will always come to light. And that is so true with fighting, because like that is literally what happens. Everything you do in the preparation of your fight comes to light when the light comes on, because you are literally like under the spotlight. The physique is showing.
That stamina showing as soon as you start running around. Everything.
You can tell if someone's nervous too when they're walking up for a fight. Like, you can tell if they're confident, you can tell if they're nervous. And all that stuff is like, yes, you have control over it, but it's unconscious. Like, it's what you have built up,
That's
like,
what you've been working for.
what is true is what will show, you know?
Yeah,
Mhm.
especially because, like you said, it's unconscious, so you get nothing but the truth when you step under that light.
That kid's a prime example of somebody like you were talking about earlier that you can be more real with, I think. And that's
Because he's older,
exactly. And he's approaching you.
he's approaching me, and because he looks up to me, and he has goals that I want, that I also see him being able to achieve those goals, but he has to make that change. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, Another thing too, kind of, I'm looking at like the mental aspect of training. I do like to whenever I'm training people, I do like to mentally push people too. And I think Snyder did such a good job at that. I don't do it at Snyder levels,
Oh, I mean, Snyder levels is close to too much sometimes.
but the other day we don't ever do competition stuff, and
Cool.
you know, in my training program. So I was like, you know what, we're not gonna do a regular circuit workout like we usually do. We're doing competition shit today. Had them do 3 things: planks. I had the whole class
Oh
just
my
do a
God.
plank. The whole class did a plank, and I said, everyone hold a plank, and whoever holds it last doesn't have to do any sit-ups. If you're the first person to drop, you gotta do 50 sit-ups right after. Second
That
person
is
is 8 people.
that's
It was 8
borderline
people.
Snyder.
I'm
So I
having
made
flashbacks.
so I
That's
made them do
borderline
that.
Snyder level.
So I made them do the planks, and then after that, they did wall sits,
Oh.
planks into the wall sits, and then the person that dropped last in the wall sits didn't have to do the last exercise, which was like just like when you're sitting on the floor and you're doing the ab workout, you're kind of holding your abs and your legs up a little bit. I forget what it's called, but that was the
Superman.
last one. And they were like, since one of them was sitting out, they're like, Zion, you have to jump in, and if we beat you, then we get to spar for the rest of class.
Oh god, that's full Snyder.
And I was like, bet.
You just
Like
showed
that's the perfect way to keep them engaged, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they ask you, like, that's perfect. Like, all right, bet.
Dude,
I wasn't like bet. I was
I
like,
think if
man, I don't know about that, y'all. All right, bet. I'll hop in. Yeah, I cooked them, of course.
Of course,
if
of
you're doing
course.
sport specific training, like there's no better way to gain respect than to just show up whoever you're training.
Right,
Like,
just do it.
I
Did
used to
it?
do that
Wasn't
in
even
soccer.
shaking a little bit. Nothing.
Just like you tell them what to do, and they're like getting frustrated or whatever, and you're like, all right, like this, and then you just let the silence.
Drop a little aura. Just drop a little aura
Yeah.
on them.
Oh
Yeah.
Lord. Okay, y'all got anything else to say on that? I think that was.
They liked it. They liked that. They liked it. They were like, yeah, that was fun.
I mean, dude, that's
Because
great.
they liked it because they don't ever do it. It's not like a normal
Yeah.
thing. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, the shock the body mentality with lifting, with activities, doing different things is real.
Well,
It's
my
real.
thing is, yeah, with that type of stuff, you go to a place mentally where it's like, how do I win control over my mind? Because your body can keep doing it. Your body can really and truly keep doing it. But how do I convince my mind to stop telling me to stop? How do I go against
And
that?
the way
And
to
that's something
do
you gotta
that
do
is
in the actual sports too.
giving someone like an external focus, and that's why competitions are so
Yep.
great, because you're like,
Because they're
"Why-
looking at each
I'm
other like, I'm not going
I'm
to
gonna
lose
beat
this.
this kid. I'm gonna losing to him, dude."
Dude,
I
there's
used to
a
do that with y'all
Just,
too.
it's funny looking at them look at each other too, and they're like, bro, please.
not to keep bringing it up, but there's a reason we won so many games with Snyder. You know, he prepared us for that battle that we went through every season 10 times better than the next people, and it's because we were 10 times less talented. You know what I mean? And so that's the beauty of it. Like you said, your body can do things that your mind doesn't even realize. And realizing it opens up a whole new world of possibilities, because you're like, oh, I did that? Well, I can do this now. So I think that's the key to really unlocking somebody's potential or your own potential, whether it's, you're figuring that out for yourself.
Yeah, and I think one thing I like take away and think about sometimes is like the ability to push yourself to your limits when no one's watching. It's very hard to develop that without being in a situation like that prior. Like I would have never known the limits I could have gone to
if you weren't doing
Now I know.
competition stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, when you're doing it now,
that's
you're
such a
thinking
great
of like,
skill.
man,
This ain't nothing.
I'm like, dude, I used to hold this for like 9 minutes. Like,
9 minutes
on,
is right.
I'm dropping out.
but it's also
2
you've
minutes. Come on.
been to that level. You've been to there. You've been there mentally already. You're not. It's not unfamiliar with you. Your body. You know that your body is not gonna break. You know what I'm saying? Because you've been there. So it's like, bro.
That's the fun, bro. That's
like,
the
my
fun
body
part.
is doing this. I'm doing this. You feel me? I've done this before. I can do it again. But yeah, that was fun.
I think we should wrap it up there. That was a great
yeah. That's a good closer. We appreciate. We've been getting some great feedback this last week, and appreciate everybody with the clips. And we're trying to keep it fun and fresh, and give you guys little tidbits of the goofy stuff we say on here, or some of Chef's Marvel clips or the 2K. Like we appreciate it. Yeah. So
we got a whole bunch of random life stuff. Just whatever we want to post, we'll post it on there, man.
Exactly. And keep comment, like, subscribe. I'll say it now. We have something actually coming up. Somebody on Instagram was our 100th follower and then removed themselves. So I don't know who would ever do that. But if we ever find out who it was, oh boy. Anyways, whenever we get that
follower gets a personal DM.
Exactly. Whenever we get that 100th follower back, probably start of February, we're gonna have a giveaway to entice some other people to join the journey. Come along for the ride. It'll be month long. It'll be a prize that'll be worth it. And yeah, so I mean, we keep saying we've got more and more fun stuff coming. We're figuring this out as we go, and we appreciate everybody that's supporting us on the journey. Yeah, boys, any last words before we sign off?
Love you guys.
Yeah, this support is such a cool thing to see, and yeah, very thankful for Noah and Zion.
That's my favorite part about it.
Y'all be carrying me, bro.
Nah. We all putting in the work, putting in the effort, showing up, and that's my favorite part, is getting to talk to you boys for 42 minutes on this fine Monday evening. We thank everybody, if you've made it this far in the pod, for tuning in. As always, we'll catch you next week. See ya.
Hey!